Annika greet you.
Good evening. Hello. Thank you for that introduction, Rob. You're always so kind. It's hard to come up here and then try to, what do I say after all of that? So I would say I missed 11 too many cuts. But anyway, you got to work on something. So great to see everybody. I appreciate you being here. I know it's a little difficult day, but that's what life is. So enjoy listening to Kaisa and Kylie. Thank you very much for coming. I wanted to say that they could be somewhere else, but they decided to be here. They decided to come here and support us, and they are the reason why we do that. Wouldn't you agree, Rob? The Annika Development Program. These are the players. I mean, this is why we do this, because they represent the sport so well, and they represent what we do, and it makes me proud to have them as our ambassadors or teammates. And we like to just keep everybody part of the family for years to come. Whether it's, we start with the Annika Cup, which is kind of the really young ones, or Share My Passion Girls, which is another initiative, and then the Annika Invitational, and then the Annika Intercollegiate, and you mentioned the tours, but I feel like they're family because we follow them and we care about them, and it's pretty neat. I don't know, I enjoy watching them growing up, becoming amazing young women. Has nothing to do with how far you have to drive. Has nothing to do with how many putts you make. I think it's more about the personality and what you do and what you stand for and how you represent the sport, but just yourself also. I mean, at the end of the day, I keep saying this, we're human beings that play golf. We're not golfers trying to be humans. So just keep in mind that you're a person first. And then, yeah, it's great to be good at golf. It's great to be an excellent violin player. I mean, those are the things that give you confidence, it gives you purpose in life, and it can really be a lot of different things, but just kind of think that to yourself is just, do the best you can in the things you do, and you can't do more than your best. That's just kind of how life is.
That's awesome. So we're going to do a Q&A, and I've prepared 0 questions because we're relying on the young women in the field to ask Annika anything you want to know about golf, about life, whatever you want. And so I'm going to ask a woman from the field to raise their hand. We'll bring over the mic. We'd love for you to stand up and introduce yourself, because that's all part of life development, and Annika would love to help with that. So raise your hand, we'll bring over a mic, stand up, introduce yourself, and then please ask Annika your question. Who would like to start?
Hi, how are you? I was wondering, what's your dream foursome and what course?
And just for the crowd, we all know you, but just in case, just introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Yvette.
All right. Well, thank you for the question. It's always hard to be the first one. It takes a little courage, so way to go. My favorite foursome, it's funny because, I would have probably said something different about 20 years ago before I met my husband. But today, it would be my husband and my 2 kids. And where would we go? I don't know. It's funny. I just enjoy spending time with them. But maybe we could, if I would play a course that I already played and love, it would obviously be Augusta National. But if we couldn't go to a place I've been, I would try something else. I've never been to Bend Dunes in Oregon. Everybody says it's beautiful there. So maybe try something new. But yeah, that would be my very diplomatic answer today.
Hi, I'm Riley. What's your favorite club in the bag?
Hi, Riley. My favorite, it depends. I love wedges, I love irons. I was just talking to Taylor, my coach is in town because I'm actually playing in the Hilton Grand Vacation, and I have some work to do on my game. So right now I'm not really friendly with any of my clubs, but as you know, when you work on something, it's just, it could be frustrating. I'm on day 5 now, so I'm starting to hit the club face, I'm starting to get the ball in the air, I'm starting to get a little more distance, but I've always been an iron player. I've always hit a lot of greens. I think I've told you the story before. When I grew up, my parents bought a set of clubs, and so I got the odds, meaning I got the 9 iron, 5, 7 iron, and 9 iron, and my sister got the pitching wedge 8 iron and 6 iron. So I've always had a little bias towards the 9, 7, and 5. So, but yeah, I mean, I've always felt like you can give me a wedge, wake me up in the middle of the night, and I hit a wedge to about 2 feet. That was kind of my goal.
It was funny, we were doing a clinic in Latin America as part of our event down there, and she was doing a clinic for all the participants. There was a bunch of members and young girls, and so Annika's kind of just getting loose, and so she hits a wedge just to get loose, and she holed her wedge. And I was then told, like, oh, that's not even the first time she's done that. So pretty crazy stuff. Oh, right here, question?
Hi, I'm Swetha. You say that, golf is not should not define you, but I feel like the amount of time we spend on golf, it kind of does sometimes. And I want to let go of a round, but I keep it with me for a week or a month. What would you suggest to me to let it go and let it define me?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. I think, finding that balance could be hard because, like you said, I mean, we practice a lot. You invest a lot of time, a lot of resources, a lot of energy, and you care. When you care about something, it's hard to just kind of let it go. And obviously, you have a desire and you want to do well, and you think about the opportunities that can come if you do well. So, the things that we talk about, it's not like it's, you take a pill and you've got it fixed, right? I mean, it takes practice and just learning how to associate, remember the good shots and dissociate, forget about shots and move on. And it was interesting, you said you hold on for a week or a month. That's a long time. So especially if you play tournaments, that's a lot of stuff to hold on to. So I would, recommend that you find a way to, it's okay to have a reaction after a shot. I think it's okay to have, feelings after a tournament, but learn how to process it in a way that you learn from it, whether it's good or bad or whatever it is, and then be able to just focus on what you got to do rather than having the result guide you moving forward. So take something, whatever it is, don't think about the score, but maybe you think about the shot that you hit and carry that on rather than just having a score. Because I know so many people that are, they play well for 15, 16 holes and then they'll have one bad hole and then they steam from the parking lot and that ruins the whole day. And it's like, well, it shouldn't, right? Try sometimes to pick up the positive. I think a lot of us, and this includes me very much, that's why I can talk about it, because I know what it's like. We just focus on the negative, whether it's a golf shot or maybe we look in the mirror and all we see is the things that we don't like, right? It's, my hair's not thick enough or, this here and there or whatever, but it's like, well, once in a while, how about you just look in the mirror and find something good about yourself? If it's not something you necessarily stand out, but what about you as a person? What are things you have done well that you feel really good about? When you help the neighbor, help the friend, or maybe you just, you did something that you can feel good about. Don't always just look at the negative. Don't take the positive for granted, like it's always going to be there. So, I think turning it around also, find a good in the round and have that carry on, and I bet you will have a little pep in the step just by being a little bit more positive, like I really did that well. So, you learn from your mistakes, but you can also learn from the good things that you do and make sure that you continue that.
That's one thing that Annika did that made her so great. She was able to focus on her shot, try to execute, did her best, but she accepted the result and then was able to move on. I mean, maybe she learned if she did something not correctly, but she was able to flush it out of her head. So by the time she hit her next shot, she had a clear, positive mindset. And then she had her own pre-shot routine that she did to get in the zone for those 24 seconds. So that was one thing that Annika, I don't know if she did it inherently all the time or she learned, but she did it better than most golfers out there. So I think it's a good question. The other thing is, don't let golf define you. Annika has all these quotes and beliefs, and we started capturing them. So parents, we put them on every tee box. The players might be focused, so they don't really look at it. I would take a picture of every one of them, because these are things that Annika has either said or believes in that literally are life lessons, and they'll help your daughter enjoy golf much more instead of continually to think negatively about things. So just be aware.
Hi, I'm McKenna, and what quality of your game do you think allowed you to have the most success?
What quality of my game?
Like, allowed you to have so much success?
Oh, good question. I mean, there's a lot of practice, a lot of commitment. I would say all those things rather than necessarily a shot. It's just the dedication, the sacrifices that I made to help me achieve my goals. Just being committed and practicing every day for weeks, for months, for years. I mean, that's what it takes. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're going to be the best player in the world by just a little practice here and there. It takes a lot of hard work. There's a lot of competition. There's some sweat and tears. The road is not straight. I mean, it's a loneliness. There's a lot of grind. But if you can get through all that, it's amazing on the other side. And I keep telling some of the women that I mentor is, if somebody can do it, it could be you, right? I mean, if it could be me, it could be anyone in this room. I mean, I don't have anything more than you do, other than just I did it because I was so dedicated, so focused, and so determined. There's some stubbornness in me. I don't give up. I keep trying. If it doesn't work, then I find another way. If that doesn't work, well, then I find a third way, or maybe just try to approach it from another side or just something different. I'm just going to keep knocking on that door until that door opens. I just want you to know that it's not easy, but if you want something, it's hard to get. But once you get it, it's certainly worth it. And I keep telling other people, if the things are easy to get, then nobody really cares, right? So I want you to have that hunger, the hunger to get something, and when you get it, it's just nothing better. So just feel like it's just in front of you, but you have to earn your way to get there. Nobody's going to give it to you. Nobody. And people can help you along the way, but in the end, you are the one that has to grab it. Surround yourself with good people, supportive people, people that understand what you're trying to do, but really feel like you're doing it your way. Because if you do it somebody else's way, most likely you will not enjoy it. You most likely will not get there. It's going to be harder. So there's several ways to achieve success. I mean, look at the top players right now. I mean, whether it's Lydia or Nelly, I mean, they've all had their own journeys, right? I've had my journey. Before me, there was, Nancy Lopez, Pat Bradley. They did it their way. So, and today's world is different. You have a lot more technology than we have. You have a lot more resources. You have more tournaments. The competition is tougher. So you have to find your way. But there is a way. Somebody's got to get to the top. So why can't it be you?
Wow. You won a lot, but can you just talk about this? I don't think you weren't afraid to lose, and you weren't afraid to fail. Can you just comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a sport. It's just golf, right? I mean, you're going to leave here tonight, and you'll be in your hotel room, and then it's like, well, there are other things to do, whether you call a friend or watch TV or read a book or play the violin or whatever you want to do, right? There are other things to do, and you realize that you put things in perspective. Golf is important, but it's not everything, and it used to be everything for me, but then I got so worn out and so tired and mentally drained that it's like, you know what, you gotta enjoy this life on top of it. So I learned how to do that, and so of course when I hit a shot, I'm super focused. When I play a tournament, I'm very dedicated and everything, but I can't do more than my best. If I was prepared coming into a tournament and I focused, and that was it, right? I mean, I can be mad at myself, but there's just so much you can do, and you're going to be your biggest critic. So sometimes, again, find the positive, because the positive is what makes you go forward. If you just criticize it all day long, eventually you want to get out of bed, right? If you just feel like you're going to get criticized. So I think I learned that it's okay, and do your best on the shot. I didn't feel like this was the end of the day. I didn't feel like this was the only shot I'm going to hit, and that type of pressure is difficult. So I learned to do that. I think really, again, has to do with balance. We talked about balance, having other fun things to do, to look forward to on your weeks off, and pursue something else. And but then once I was in golf, it was that's what mattered. But you need to find balance in life, and you're starting to feel it now at this level, and then you get to college level. There's so many things, whether it's schoolwork, friends. I mean, you feel like the days are not long enough. It's like you need another 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever. It's just never enough. And I think we try to do so much, and then you turn professional and you realize this is really lonely out here. You have friends and they somewhat care about you, but they're also playing, so they have their own issues, their own problems, their own stuff they got to handle. So, just make sure that you enjoy this journey. It should be fun. If you don't wake up in the morning and this doesn't make you jump out of bed, then you might want to reconsider, because that's what life is about. One day you're going to be like me, you're going to be 54, and you're just going to go, wow, what happened? Please enjoy your journey. Please enjoy what you're doing. Because if you don't want to be here, then somebody else wants to be here. So just kind of think about that and the things you're learning, and making you more of a complete person. To me, again, that's why we have these tournaments and more than golf, because I want you to feel like it's more than these drives. It's more than these putts. Right? But you can learn some other things along the way.
Wow, a lot of wisdom. It's probably going to help you play better golf too if you find some balance. So it's kind of ironic, isn't it? Other questions?
Yep, we got one.
Beautiful.
Hi, I'm Mia from Mexico, and what aspect of your game do you think contributes the most to your greatest achievements in golf?
Which part of my golf was my greatest achievement? Is that kind of what you're saying?
What part of your game contribute to your achievements?
Okay.
Thank you.
I hit a lot of greens. I didn't make a lot of mistakes. Very consistent, I would say. I do a lot of statistics. How many of you do statistics there? Track your scores. Okay. I think it's a good thing to do. It doesn't have to be super, super detailed, but at least have an understanding what your strengths are and what your weakness is, and trying to figure out where maybe you should spend your time, practicing. Growing up in Sweden, all I did was hit balls, because I love hitting balls. I'd be on the range all day long, ball after ball after ball, and then I go and I hit a few putts for like 10 minutes, and then I wonder why my short game or my putting wasn't so good. Well, I didn't enjoy putting. And then obviously if you do it less, you don't get any better. And I had a lot of shots and I got better in that, then that was more fun. So then I wanted to even hit more balls. So it took me a little while to realize that, and that's just a maturity thing, and maybe being a little bit more, understanding where your strengths are. So I recommend that you keep some stats, how many fairways or greens, and just a little bit, where you gain shots, or what holes you play well, and just a few things. We're happy to help you with that if you need some guidance. But so to answer your question, my goal was actually to be number one in every category. I know that it's a little bit impossible, because if you hit a lot of green, it's hard to have the fewest putts. But why not set the bar high? So I figured if I can just be, hit most fairways and be the longest out there, hit the most greens and make most up and downs, who's going to beat me? So I didn't achieve all of those things, but I did achieve a few of them, and I think that helped me to become a better player. So I've always been a numbers nerd, just because that helped me. It gave me a little bit more of a neutral feeling to it. And what I'm trying to say by that is, when you come off a round and you might just feel like, oh, I missed so many putts, could be a reaction. Well, the reason is, why did you miss a lot of putts? Is it because the putts were long, or maybe you didn't hit a lot of greens, so you were chipping, and now all of a sudden you had 10 or 12 footers, or why did you hit greens? Well, maybe you didn't hit the fairway off the tee, so now you're punching it out there. So some people get the whole picture, but sometimes you're so emotionally attached to your round that all you think about are missed putts. But then if you really look into it, then maybe there could be something else. And that's why I think it's a good reason to do statistics, and also share it with your coach and the people that are part of your team, and figure out, because at the end of the day, you have to work on your weaknesses, which again, I learned later, because I was a little stubborn. I'm like, because my coach told me, because we looked at my statistics, and I don't think I've told you this Rob, but my bunker play wasn't very good, so I just told my coach, I'm not going to hit it in the bunker, so why am I working on my bunker shots? So, that sounds... anyway, so I played this tournament in Tucson. It was an LPGA tournament, and I make it, so a playoff. Against a player from Australia, Rachel, and the 18th hole is a par 5, so we have to play it again. So the first in regulation, I hit a drive and then 3-wood to the greenside bunker shot, 2-putt, and that's why I got in the playoff. If I would have made bunker shot and a 1-putt, I would have won, but I didn't. So we go there, and then the tee shot, I hit in the fairway, she hit in the shot fairway, Rachel. We both go for the green, and we both hit in the greenside bunker. She hits it to about 4 feet, and I hit it about 10 feet. I miss, and she makes. So I remember I turned to my coach, Henry, I said, where's the nearest bunker? and we practiced until it was dark. So hopefully you don't need a lesson like that to understand. I needed a kind of a punch in my stomach to really understand. So please put your ego away. Don't do like I did. But that's how we learn, right? So now I try to focus on every shot and try not to have any weaknesses.
Awesome. Next question.
Hi, my name's Catherine Andino. Thank you for having us here. When would you say you were the most nervous going into a tournament, and how were you able to cope with those nerves?
Yeah. Believe it or not, I get nervous every single time I play, mostly on the first tee, and then, it would go away once I got to the first green, and then I played, felt really comfortable, and then again, on 17, it somehow came back a little bit. I guess just because I know that, when the round is starting, it's like, how is it going to go? You're curious because, again, we care about it, and I'm not really sure how I feel about the round. But once I was in the round, I felt good, and then coming in, it was one of those, now I want to finish strong, so I start thinking a little bit more. So, but the most nervous I've ever been, I would say, was in 2003 at the Bank of America Colonial, when I played against the men in the PGA Tour event. I was very, very, very nervous. I was so nervous to the point I didn't know I can keep the ball on the tee. I was going to tee it up, and I was shaking so much, and I didn't want people to see that, I was going like this. And I was just trying to channel all the thoughts that I've heard, throughout my life, and, do this, and stick to your routine, and, one thing at a time, and the list goes on, right? You've all heard it. It's just, okay, I got to do it. So I was able to keep the ball on the tee, and then I just focused on my pre-shot routine. Again, focus on what I could be in control of, and try to, not think about the people that were there, not to think about, what it meant to be there, or what the people were expecting out of me. Just all those outside forces, that creep in our minds. Just focus on what I can do, and I got I made great contact. I probably hit one of the longest forwards I've ever hit. I was so pumped up, and the adrenaline was there, so I managed okay. But I was extremely nervous at that time, and again, just I'm thankful for my routine. Otherwise, if I didn't have one there, I don't know how I would have done it.
Annika played in that event, and I think she missed the cut by a couple shots. So she beat more than half the men in the field. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty cool. You got a question here?
Oh,
Hi, I'm Keetna. You had mentioned that you managed to make very few mistakes while you were playing, and I want to know what helped you make those fewer mistakes.
yeah. Other than a lot of practice and being very focused, I mean, I like to think that you create this mindset. We're in charge of certain things, right? Decisions and club selections, and I believe that you can create this zone in your mind a lot more often than a lot of people think. I think that's why I was consistent. By having routines and by just doing the same thing over and learning from my mistakes, I was able to create this kind of atmosphere in my mind where I just felt really calm and collected and clear. And I was able to repeat that. I think it goes to, not worrying about previous bad shots, not bringing in negative thoughts, just thinking about, being in the present, focus on what I have to do. And I think a lot of people when they play, and they will think about tournaments that they played. It could be 1 or 2 or 3 tournaments. It could be, so many other thoughts that creep in their mind that it becomes cluttered. There's a lot of confusion, good shots, bad shots, and then but I was very, very clear with my decisions. If I decided to hit a 7-9 and I had a shot in mind, I did my best to do it. Very seldom did I stand over a shot and be a little, have mixed thoughts. If I had mixed thoughts, I would step away. And I think that just kind of helped me to be more consistent. But, again, it comes into preparation. I would never play a tournament if I wasn't prepared. I would never go somewhere and feel like I had to rely on past experiences. I wanted to be ready. There was a few times on the LPGA that, I ended up not playing a tournament because I was either, worn out or tired or I didn't feel ready. And a few times the commissioner would call me and say, you can't withdraw, we need you. And I said, well, I can't I'm not there for show. I'm about performance, and if I can't perform, I'm not going to be there. And that's really how I approached everything. I'm not going to do something halfway. I'd rather do it full. So I think if you're prepared, then you can trust yourself, and you just kind of let it happen rather than trying to force something. There's nothing harder than trying to create something that might not be there. It might be okay, but at the very top, you can't just be, 7 out of 10. You need to be 11 out of 10 if you're going to have a chance.
Awesome. Great questions. We have another one here in the front. And thank you all for standing up and introducing yourselves. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Lindsay, and I was wondering, how do you challenge yourself in practice and continue to make it fun?
Thank you, Lindsay. Yeah, I think, practice is really important. You can be present in your practice, or you can just kind of do it because you're supposed to practice, right? Especially if it gets a little later in the day and you're getting a little tired and you feel like your mind is wandering, then you can ask the question, is this a good practice, or is this just more going with a routine? So when it comes to practicing, I think, having a little games, have a little challenges, whether it's just, on the putting green, put up different tees and, see if you can make 3 from here, 3 from there. If you find a friend, okay, let's putt 9 holes, or, come up with different drills where you really focus. So you don't just stand there with your music in your ear and just kind of go about, the rhythm. I think if you're not present, it really doesn't help you anything. It actually, as a matter of fact, you can create some bad habits. I know a lot of players are not really present when they practice. So find games, find drills, find somebody else to even just tell somebody on the range, hey, what flag do you want me to hit? All of a sudden, do your routine, and now you're going to hit over there. You've been hitting 50 balls in that direction. All of a sudden, pick a flag there and do your routine and feel like you're on the golf course. Like this is, the second shot on the 18th hole in a tournament or something. So, we've always talked about there's different ways of practice. Sometimes you just want to work on a movement, right? You're just working on your grip, or you're working on your takeaway. Like today, I'm just working on my takeaway, and I'm not focusing on the target, just this movement. And that was kind of what my mindset was. And then it was like, okay, well, let's pick a target. Now you go behind the ball, you visualize, take a practice swing, and then you do it. It was more of a target practice. The takeaway was more of a movement. So whatever you're working on, I think you have to have different techniques on what you're working on. When you play golf, it's result-oriented, right? You go on the golf course, if you're playing golf, then you look at the fairway, you look at the whole location, and it's about playing golf. It's about scoring. But when you're on the range and you're practicing, then just give yourself a break. You're not going to hit it to the flag every time if you're working on something. And that's, I think, is the hardest part. Because, like I said, I'm working on something, and I don't have a lot of time, so I need the results yesterday, right? But as you know, it takes time, and I think that's the hardest part is you have to invest, 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 and then the fruit comes. And that's worth everything.
Really cool. Really cool. Yes. I guess I could give you the mic right here.
Yeah.
Too lazy.
You want 3?
I'm Alexa, and you mentioned professional golf being kind of like a lonely journey. Did you have any like people or like resources with you during those times when you felt like, yeah, it was kind of like lonely?
Yeah. No, you have to find a balance. You know, so when my rookie year, I traveled with a few friends. So we stayed in housing because we didn't have much money, so we saved in accommodations, which was nice. We would share a car, and we would go out for dinner together. And I loved the friendship, but I just realized that, you know, I can't do my own thing. We would have different tea times. You know, we would have different practice routines, and, you know, I wanted to practice, and they wanted to leave, and now I don't have a car. You know, they wanted to go out for dinner, and I was hitting the gym, and, well, where am I going to eat? So you have to, like, in the end, I think you have to find your own routines and do a little bit more on your own, and that's what makes it a little bit more lonely. But to me, it was more important to do it about the way that I felt like I needed to do to play well.
My name is Kelly, and I was wondering if you have any superstitions, or if you're superstitious at all, because like for this trip, I only brought like 3 pairs of pants, and I haven't been playing good that much, so I've been switching my pants out. But I think if I played better, I would have been wearing like the same pants the whole week.
Well, thanks, Kelly. That's a good question. We need some humor in this, and I like it. You know, I am not superstitious, so I apologize for that. But I am routines. I am very much into routines. So maybe you can consider that maybe similar. But you know, I have routines as far as what I do, and I mean, if things work, I do it again and again and again. But you know, I'm not somebody that, you know, just have 3 pants or a special shirt or, you know, 3 tees in my pocket. But I do. My husband's dad, Jerry McGee, he was extremely superstitious. So, you know, when we started to date, he was thinking, my husband was thinking that every golfer is superstitious. So you know, there were certain things he did which I thought was really strange, because he thought that I was, you know, that he couldn't do this to me. Like, you couldn't say certain things. Like, I made 5 birdies in a row, and it's nice when somebody said, well, nice birdie, right? And he was afraid to say, because then he thought I would make a bogey on the next one. I'm like, it has nothing to do with what you say. It's my mindset. A few things like that. So, but when it comes to being superstitious, I think you're not the only one, and just make it work for you, right? I mean, if you feel like this is working, and as you know, golf is such a mental game, and so if you feel good in, you know, just playing in a certain pant or a certain shirt or this, go for it. I mean, I don't care how you shoot under par, right? As long as you get it done. If you feel good about something, and if there's something that you have to do to get in the right frame of mind, I think we're all welcome that. And that's the beauty of this. I mean, how many are we in this room? Are we 80?
Yeah.
Maybe. And everybody's different. We have 80 different personalities in here, right? And I think that's something beautiful. And we all have different skills and our different desires, and we're not here to say that you have to do it the Annika way. I hope you can leave here knowing there is no such thing. I'm just sharing what worked for me, because I have seen and I've learned from other people, and then in the end you just kind of make it your way. And that's really what we want in the end of the day. I want you to find, you know, the Kelly way, or whatever it is. Just make sure that it's the best that you can do. So, but thank you for that question. It's always fun to listen to people, you know, they're superstitious and all the stories that come with it. It's we need some laughs too, so thank you.
Annika, by the way, birdied 8 holes in a row when she shot 59, and she birdied 12 of her first 13 holes that day. Pretty cool.
From a parent, I mean, how much, I know your father obviously did a great job, But how much pressure or how much involvement was he, or is it really, when is there too much from a parent, and can you give us some advice to a parent with his daughter?
Yeah, I give my mom credit too. Both my parents are very, they grew up playing lots of sports, so sports was kind of our thing. My parents stopped playing golf when, we were really young. I would say that, when you become a parent on your own, you see things very differently. Now I actually feel I'm so thankful for what they did. When I was this age, you take things for granted to drive you this and there, do that for me. But now I really appreciate that they did that, because I'm sure there was a lot of long weekends, especially in my tennis career, because my tennis career wasn't very long, but we would drive to tournaments and maybe an hour or 2 hours away, even more, and I would lose 6-0, 6-1, and we're in the car within an hour. So you can imagine now being a parent, how they would feel. So now I appreciate the patience and the things that they said. They were very supportive, loving, not pushy whatsoever. I would say that they gave the resources. I have younger sisters, so the two of us, we got resources, but it was like, okay, well, you do something with those resources. My dad is not a pro, my mom is not a pro, they're just amateur golfers, but for them it was more about just us being happy and doing what we enjoy. They would ask a few things of us, and one was to just do your best, behave well on the golf course, and have fun. I would say that I'm very driven, so I think I somehow got something for them, but it was my dad never stood on the range and said, hit another bucket, or go play a few more holes. It was just more, just have fun doing it. So, and that's kind of the approach I think we're having with our children, because I feel like in the end of the day, it has to come from the heart. It has to come from the player on its own. Either you want it or you don't want it. And I've seen so many examples where kids are being pushed because, the parents, it's their dream, and they want their kid to be out there. And let me just tell you, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You're going to, they will resent you. They probably will hate the sport, and that's, to me, is probably the worst scenario. But obviously, be loving, be there for them. It's tough to be a young golfer today. It's tough to be a young woman today. So I would just keep in mind that these are, again, human beings. So find a balance where it's golf, but also that the young ladies, they go through a lot at an early age. And I think we need to keep that in mind. And please don't compare with others. Don't compare with your siblings. I think it's just because you're different. I'm different than my sister. And I know she doesn't like being compared to me. She was always, Annika number 2. You can imagine that did not sit well with her. Or there's little Annika. And by the way, she's taller than I am. And she didn't like that either. So I'm just saying you have to put yourself in your kids, in their shoes and see how they feel. And some kids develop early, some kids develop later. Some kids need a lot of guidance, some don't need any guidance. It's hard to be a parent, and I think for you to be here, you've done a lot of great work already with your child, so you're on the right track. But if somebody else asks you, just kind of see what works. But I think the best thing you can do is have a young golfer that's happy and have a healthy heart and a healthy mind. That in the end is worth more than 1,000 trophies.
This is really awesome. Can you give it up for Annika? Yeah, I think this was pretty special. And hopefully you as a player and as a parent, maybe it took something away tonight that will benefit you as a person and as a golfer going forward. That's what Annika really wants. She wants you to do well, and hopefully someone wins tomorrow. But literally, she doesn't really care about that in some ways. She really wants everyone to learn and be better from this experience this week.